You've seen the numbers. A car passes through a tunnel. 90 seconds later, it comes out gleaming, and somebody just collected $8, $10, $14 for water, soap, and 40 feet of spinning fabric. No skill required. No inventory that spoils. No customer who complains about the food. Just cars, cash, repeat. Private equity smelled it first. Then everybody else did. Express tunnels went up on every third corner in America. Gas station lots, strip mall pads, empty fields off the interstate. The pitch was simple. Recurring monthly revenue, near zero labor, margins that would make a software company jealous. Here's the paradox nobody puts in the pitch deck. The single best capitalized car wash chain in the country, the one with the most locations, the most institutional money, the most sophisticated operators in the room, filed for bankruptcy owing $654 million. Not because customers stopped washing cars, because the math that made the industry irresistible to investors is the same math that can drown an owner who doesn't understand where the actual profit lives. A business that turns water into cash in 90 seconds just buried a $250 million restructuring. That's not a contradiction. That's the business model working exactly as designed. For somebody. Just not always for the person who signed the loan. By the end of this, you'll know exactly who that somebody is. Tier 1. Bootstrapped. 4 self-serve bays and a vacuum island on a quarter-acre lot you either own or lease cheap. Coin or app-activated wands, pressure washers, maybe a foam brush station. Total build-out, land excluded. $150,000 to $400,000, depending on how much concrete and plumbing the site already has. No employees on site most hours. You collect quarters, or these days, tap to pay revenue, and you drive by twice a week to empty the change and check the chemical tanks. Gross annual revenue on a decent self-serve location, $60,000 to $150,000. This is the laundromat of the car care world. Low ceiling, low risk, and you'll never make anyone rich off 4 bays alone. Tier 2. Mid-market. The express tunnel. This is where the industry actually lives now. A single-lane automated conveyor tunnel, vacuum stalls, a small retail building, a membership kiosk. Land, construction, and equipment. $2 to $4 million per site, sometimes more depending on real estate costs in your metro. A well-run tunnel in a good corridor can push 400 to 800 cars through on a strong Saturday. Wash times measured in 90 seconds to 2 minutes per car. Annual revenue on a mature location, $1.5 to $3 million. This tier is where operators start layering in the Unlimited Wash Club, the recurring membership that turns a car wash from a transaction business into a subscription business. It's also where the debt starts getting real, because nobody builds a $2 million tunnel with cash. Tier 3. Institutional. The roll-up. This is where the money that built the modern car wash industry actually operates. Private equity platforms buying up regional chains, standardizing the tunnel design, and stacking dozens or hundreds of sites into corridors. The industry term for a metro area saturated with locations from the same operator. One national chain went from 2 locations in 2004 to 260 across 23 states, generating over $300 million in annual revenue. Getting into this tier means raising institutional debt in the hundreds of millions, competing for site acquisitions against 3 or 4 other PE-backed platforms doing the exact same thing in the exact same trade areas. This is no longer a car wash business. It's a leveraged real estate roll-up that happens to wash cars. Forget the soap. The actual product being sold in a modern car wash isn't a clean car. It's a subscription nobody uses enough to make it a bad deal for the operator. Think of it like an all-you-can-eat buffet. The restaurant doesn't make money on the customer who eats 3 plates. It makes money on the customer who pays for the buffet, eats once, and forgets to cancel. A car wash's Unlimited Wash Club works on the identical logic. Members pay $25 to $40 a month for unlimited washes. The average member uses it 2 to 3 times a month. The math only breaks if too many members actually show up too often, and most don't, because life gets in the way, because the app is a hassle to cancel, because $25 a month feels small enough not to think about. 2 numbers run this entire industry, and they're rarely spoken outside the boardroom. Throughput. Cars per hour the tunnel can physically process. A modern express tunnel is engineered for speed, not intimacy. 90-second wash cycles, conveyor belts pulling vehicles through at a fixed pace. Because every additional second per car is fewer cars per hour, and fewer cars per hour is the entire business model collapsing in slow motion. Conversion. The percentage of one-time paper wash customers who get talked into a membership before they leave the lot. Every car wash trains its frontline staff like a call center trains upsell reps. A washed car pulling out is a warm lead. Conversion rates of 30 to 50% separate a mediocre location from a great one, because membership revenue is what actually shows up every month whether or not that customer ever drives back in. Here's the counterintuitive fact that violates normal business logic. The industry's average EBITDA margin sits somewhere between 40 and 50%, margins that would be extraordinary in almost any other consumer business, and it still produces spectacular bankruptcies. High margin and high failure rate are not opposites here. They're the same phenomenon. Margins that fat attract too much capital too fast, chasing the same real estate until the corridor can't support the number of tunnels stacked into it. Walk into a modern express tunnel lobby and you're standing inside a machine built to make one decision feel inevitable. Join the club. The kiosk is the first thing you see, not the last. Pricing is displayed as a ladder. Single wash at $19, membership at $25. Engineered so the math does itself in your head before an employee says a word. The lighting is bright, clinical, almost showroom grade. Because a dirty, dim car wash lobby signals a discount operation, and discount operations don't get memberships. The vacuum stalls are covered, heated in winter markets. Because a customer standing in the cold for 4 minutes vacuuming their floor mats is a customer thinking hard about whether this whole ritual is worth repeating without a subscription smoothing it out. But the real engineering, the part customers never see, is underground and overhead simultaneously. Water reclamation systems recycle 60 to 80% of wash water through filtration and reverse osmosis units because fresh water and sewage discharge fees are two of the largest hidden operating costs in the business. And any operator not reclaiming water is bleeding margin on every single car. Chemical delivery is metered to the fraction of an ounce per vehicle. Because soap and wax additives are the second largest variable cost after labor, and an over-calibrated nozzle, by even a few percentage points, compounds into 6 figures a year across a high-volume site. The conveyor motor, the blower system, the boiler for heated water in cold climates, every piece of equipment is a maintenance liability running 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, with almost zero downtime tolerance because a broken tunnel isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a location generating zero revenue while still owing its monthly debt service. The entire physical plant is a bet that volume never stops. The lighting, the layout, the kiosk psychology, all of it is built to keep cars moving through at maximum throughput, which means the hidden liability isn't visible until the volume actually does stop. And in the last several years, across dozens of metro corridors, it did. The fatal flaw in the modern car wash business isn't the wash. It's the real estate arithmetic underneath it. Every tunnel is a fixed-cost machine with a monthly debt payment that doesn't care how many cars show up. Land, construction, and equipment financing get paid whether the tunnel runs at 40% capacity or 90%. For a decade, that was fine because demand for subscription car washes kept climbing and new sites kept filling up fast enough to service the debt that built them. Then operators, flush with private equity money, competing against each other for the same handful of good corners, started opening 800 to 900 new tunnels a year at the industry's 2023 peak. Too many straws in the same glass. The technical term the industry now uses for what happened next is cannibalization. New locations, sometimes from the very same company, siphoning customers away from the operator's own existing sites. Case 1, capital structure. One chain grew from a 2-location startup in 2004 into a 260-location national platform through 40 separate acquisitions, backed by a private equity sponsor that eventually poured over $100 million of rescue capital into keeping it afloat. By early 2025, the company was carrying $654 million in funded debt against same-store sales that had gone flat as its own newer locations began competing with its older ones for the same drivers. It filed Chapter 11 with roughly $1 million of cash on hand. The restructuring wiped out the private equity sponsor's entire equity position, cut the debt load by $279 million, and handed full ownership to the term loan lenders who'd financed the expansion in the first place. The company that built the empire didn't just lose money, it lost the company. Case 2, market mismatch. A national auto services conglomerate, already running oil change chains, transmission shops, and paint and collision centers, decided the car wash boom was too good to sit out. It spent roughly $3 billion assembling a car wash division, buying operators, and building tunnels across the country to bolt onto its existing service network. The bet was that car care customers overlap with car wash customers, and cross-selling would make the math work. It didn't. The car wash business ran on completely different unit economics, different real estate requirements, and different customer behavior than the rest of the company's portfolio, and it dragged on margins instead of lifting them. The company eventually sold the entire domestic car wash division for $385 million, a fraction of what it had spent building it. Same industry, same boom. A completely different way to lose almost 90% of your investment. 2 operators. 2 different ways to misread the same spreadsheet. One over-leveraged an empire until the lenders owned it. One overpaid to force a business into a portfolio it never belonged in. Strip away the tunnel, the foam, the vacuum stalls, and the car wash business collapses into one equation. Throughput times conversion minus fixed debt service equals whether you own the asset or the asset owns you. Run it well, in a corridor that isn't oversaturated, with reclaimed water and calibrated chemical costs and a membership funnel that actually converts, and a mature site nets somewhere around 20 to 30% after debt service and overhead. Genuinely excellent numbers for a business this simple to operate. The operator who mastered this without drowning in it is Mr. Car Wash, the largest chain in the country, taken private in a deal valuing it north of $3 billion. Still standing while smaller, faster-growing rivals filed for bankruptcy around it. The difference wasn't the tunnel technology. It was site discipline, knowing which corridors could actually absorb another location and having the balance sheet to survive the ones that couldn't. So here's the punchline. A car wash is one of the cleanest, highest margin, lowest labor businesses in American retail. Right up until every competitor with a term sheet notices the same thing and builds a tunnel across the street from yours. The system isn't rigged against the car wash. It's rigged against the operator who confused a great business with a business that can absorb unlimited competitors. The water's always going to be profitable. The only question is whether you're still holding the deed when the corridor fills up.